Hello everybody, it's Ashwin Rao, hope you're doing well. And today's video features an unboxing of a brand that I've previously visited in my shoe journey and have recently come back to. And this, my friends, is the brand CNES or CNES. This is the SW1 Spiral Oxford model that they have been featuring in a custom embossed Hatchgrain leather from the Annonay tannery. I saw the shoes on their Instagram posts, and I saw that leather used in a variety of different styles, including a Chelsea boot, split-toe derby, this spiral hole cut, and a few other styles. And I found the leather to be kind of an interesting style that was reminiscent to some degree of the J.F.J. Baker Hatchgrain look, although with a different texture, sort of between standard Hatchgrain leathers and the J.F.J. style. So that was intriguing to me, and the fact that this leather was vegetable tanned like the J.F.J. Baker rather than the typical chrome tanned leather, and had originally been sourced through the Annonay tannery, which has a good reputation. So I reached out to CNES, and they were gracious enough to send me a pair of their shoes to try. So that's what this pair is. Full disclosure, I did not pay for this pair, but you're gonna get my honest impressions of the shoe so that I can give you information that I hope you find valuable. I have purchased at least 3 other pairs from CNES, including one MTO split-toe derby, over-the-shelf, ready-to-wear pair of Goodyear welted Oxfords, and then also a split-toe loafer that was actually probably my favorite of the bunch. And I have come back around to CNES partly because of this model, and I have not looked at this, so we're going to do this journey together. They're based out of Singapore. They occupy the budget or entry level of Goodyear welted, Bologna Goodyear welted, and even Blake stitched shoes. So they offer these shoes at a very reasonable, affordable price in the neighborhood of what Nearman would charge, maybe even in some instances lower if you're on one of their sales. They have very beautiful waists and sole work done, which is unusual at the price point. If you're starting to explore menswear and wanting to do so at a lower price point, CNES is a brand you should definitely entertain and be interested in. Their lasts have not been as dramatically styled as some of the other higher end makers, but at the end of the day, you have to make some compromises when you're producing shoes at a lower cost. And the Spiral Oxford, which kind of mimics the look of the hole cut, is a pair that I actually own in similar style from October 10th, which is through Sons of Henry, and costs over double, if not triple the price in a Annonay Hatchgrain as well. And so we're gonna do some unboxing, and I hope that you find this informative. This here is the standard box. You can see the description right there. Dark brown is DBR, I presume, and I am a size 44 in their sizing. I'm a Brannick 10, so for those of you who are interested, you can always reach out to CNES and they can advise you. And so let's take a look here. So I'm going to open up the box. Here's the cap here, pretty standard fare. They included a thank you card, which is pretty standard and has some information on returns and exchanges. And then I'm going to show you the box here. It has what appears to be 2 shoes and shoe bags. And then here is one pair in a bag that's actually rather nice. And a second pair here. So we have both of our shoes right here, and here we are. All right. This is lovely. So here you go. One pair here. I'm going to go ahead and unbox or unbag the other pair. These bags, I must say, are quite nice. They're made out of kind of a comfortable soft cloth. Doesn't feel cheap at all. And true to the design, this is a very lovely design here. You can see that on one side this looks like an Adelaide or Balmoral Adelaide. On the other side it has more of that Balmoral style, but it's really just one piece of leather that then wraps around, and you can see it wrapping around here and going all the way around the front here. In this case, we have a second piece of leather down here that makes the lower portion of the shoe So here you go. Beautiful style. The shoe is fairly light. Is the heel block here. You can see the fiddleback waist, almost has like a pinched fiddleback design, very nicely done, with the CNES logo on the bottom. And you can see that they mark that this shoe is Bologna Goodyear welted. You see the heel block here, and you can see there's actually a very slight taper to that heel block, really nicely done there, and a slight scalloping to the inset of the heel block right here. There's obviously no step off between this waist here, which is actually slightly beveled. You can see they've done some work to bevel that waist, but it's not offset or separated from the heel block as you would expect in a much higher end shoe. So if I turn the shoe around, you will see that there's also some nice tapering done here. So it's not just a squared off waist, we have a tapered waist here. And this has 5 eyelets. You can see right there, 5 eyelets. You can see this welt stitching. I don't know how easily you can see that, but there's welt stitching that is exposed, so it's not buried welt stitching. The stitching is relatively clean, though I do see some errors along the edge of that welt stitch, where it looks like a couple of the welt stitches are blended together. But I'm not sure about that. That is something I'd have to take a closer look at and report on. And that welt stitch actually then tapers really nicely into a hidden channel that you can't really see. So along the waist, it's not a true blind stitch, but it's similar to Carmina's Inca Last in that the stitching is hidden at the level of the waist. And then this leather is actually really, really nice. It's you can see has a typical feel of a veg-tanned leather. It's a little thicker. I think it should take a nice shine. On the tip or the nose of the shoe, the toe box here, you can see that Hatchgrain is a little less emphasized. It's probably stretched a little, which actually will allow it to shine a little bit better. There you go. And then you can see more of the Hatchgrain pattern along the vamp here, as well as along the facing. On the inside, you can see the CNES logo again. So third time I'm seeing that logo, once on the sole, once on the box, and once in the insole, and the Bologna Goodyear welted construction listing there. But yeah, a really nicely executed shoe. I'm looking forward to trying it on, giving it a try. Some other details to kind of point out is there's a double row of stitches. You can see right along here as well as here. You can see that at the bottom of the facing there's a securing stitch right here, as well as a single row of stitching along the edge of that part of the facing there, as well as along the collar where there's a single row of stitching. This looks like it's 270 degrees welted. I don't see the welt stitching extending into the heel block, so it's probably cemented on its back side here. But as I mentioned, a nicely tapered heel. Similar to Yarn Shoemaker, there's a little bit of an offset between the block and the upper here. The toe looks like a somewhat rounded toe. There's very, very subtle chiseling, but I don't know if I'd really call that a chisel. I'd call that a rounded kind of almond shaped toe, I guess, which is fairly symmetrical. CNES Spiral Oxfords. I'm gonna put these on and let you know how they feel. I'm gonna give them a bit of a wear and see how they break in. Probably gonna even do a little polishing. Other than that, hopefully that gives you an idea of where things are in this pair. And I really like the grain actually. It's kind of well executed, and it has kind of like I said, like a JFJ Baker Jr. styling to it. It's not as dramatic as their online pictures would suggest. It's not as deeply scored or embossed, but it's definitely done well. And this is definitely worth a look, it seems. So I'm excited about it, and see how this shows and stacks up against higher end shoes that are currently in my collection, as well as my previous experiences with CNES. So hope you're doing all well. Have a good one. Take care and goodbye.